No. No. No, 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 no! You do not get to do this. You do not get to spend 40 years turning the economy into a casino run by vibes, debt, and vibes about debt, and then suddenly act shocked when the house catches fire and yell, "Who lit this?" Oh, good. We've moved past investigating people and are now investigating abstractions. The Pokemon of irresponsible government has completed its evolution into its Picasso phase. What's next? DOJ versus time? FBI versus gravity? ATF looking into bad vibes. Because apparently the Federal Reserve, the institution we begged to save us every time capitalism tripped over its own shoelaces, is now a criminal mastermind. So the DOJ is investigating the Fed. And half the country is like, finally, accountability. And the other half is like, wait, if they arrest interest rates, do mine go down? No, nothing goes down, except your expectations. Let's talk about the Fed. The Fed is not a normal agency. The Fed is a wizard college. Seriously, they don't work with facts. They work with feelings about numbers. They don't say things in clear and understandable language like, we raised rates. Instead, they tell us things like, we adjusted our forward-looking posture in response to macroeconomic headwinds. That is nothing! That is a sentence made entirely out of steam. And Americans are like, cool, my rent went up 22%. The Fed is supposed to be independent. Independent from politics, independent from elections, independent from the screaming, flaming chaos of democracy. Which is an adorable sentiment because the second voters start waving pitchforks made of expired credit cards, politicians sprint to the cameras like, I have always hated the Fed. Look how much I'm yelling. They loved the Fed when money was free. They loved the Fed when markets were up. They loved the Fed when the printer went. But now groceries cost $400, and suddenly the question those same politicians have is, has the Fed become too powerful? No fucking kidding. Where were you in 2009? 2012? 2018? 2020? Oh, right. You were clapping like seals. And now the DOJ is like, we're opening an investigation. Into what? What's the charge? Excessive use of decimals? Reckless deployment of the word transitory. Conspiracy to emotionally devastate first-time homebuyers. What will that congressional hearing look like? Sir, I'm looking over my notes here, and I'd like to get you on the record on this. Did you raise rates? Yes. Why? To slow inflation. And were you aware that this would make people angry? Oh my God, arrest him! If raising interest rates to fight inflation is a crime, then congratulations, not only have we officially made math illegal, we've also gone ahead and criminalized the concept of cause and effect. Inflation goes up, crime. Inflation goes down, but unemployment rises, also crime. Soft landing doesn't feel soft enough, straight to jail. This isn't accountability. This is economic scapegoating with subpoenas. And here's the part that pisses me off. Everyone who pretends that this is about justice. No, it's about cover. This is all our politicians saying, don't look at us, we yelled at the wizard. Because the Fed is probably the only institution in America that can be blamed by both parties at the same time, which is honestly impressive. The left says they're protecting Wall Street. The right says they're sabotaging growth. And then just about everyone else says they ruined my life personally. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. The Fed didn't break the economy all by itself. The economy was broken by decades of wage stagnation, treating the housing market like a hedge fund, corporate consolidation, political cowardice, and a national addiction to pretending tomorrow will fix today. But facing up to all that is way too hard. Know why? Because that requires policy and courage and math. So instead, we yell at the guy with the chart. Jerome Powell is not a Bond villain. He's a substitute teacher for capitalism who walked into class and said, "Why are there fireworks taped to the ceiling?" And now the DOJ wants to know if the fireworks violated protocol. Meanwhile, corporations raise prices, post record profits, and lay people off by the millions. Then they vanish into the night like a dad going out for cigarettes in 1997. And nobody investigates any of that. We've had no early morning raids on price gouging. There haven't been any televised perp walks for monopolies. And you certainly won't see any emergency hearings on why rent is a prank. But sure, get the Fed. Because nothing screams justice like grilling economists on C-SPAN while Americans open up their phones and Google questions like, is ramen supposed to be this expensive? And let's talk about the real danger here, because if the Fed starts making decisions based on, will doing this get us investigated? Then monetary policy will quickly become political theater. Imagine it. Interest rates set by polling. Inflation managed by vibes, and press conferences written for cable news. Breaking! Rate cut announced after bad focus group. That's not economics. That's improv with nukes. So yes, be angry. You should be angry. People are drowning. They can't buy homes. They can't save. They can't breathe without a fee. But don't let them sell you this fairy tale where one institution is the villain and everyone else is innocent. This is a system that rewards short-term sugar highs and punishes long-term thinking. The Fed didn't design that system. They just keep being the ones that get told, fix it. No, not like that. So go ahead, investigate the Fed, investigate the fuck out of it, hold the hearings, wave the charts, grill the nerds. But until this country decides whether it actually wants affordable housing, stable prices, fair wages, and infinite growth without ever sacrificing anything, this will keep happening. Rates go up, rates go down, people are still broke. And every few years, Washington will point at the Fed and scream, "Why don't you save us from the consequences of our own decisions?"